Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Ocean Views Podcast. I am your engagement director, Tori Roberts, and with us today we have a very special guest, Brett Scott. So I first have to mention Brett. It feels like the name Brett Scott, you should be some kind of movie actor. It feels like very old Hollywood. I just think that's such a cool name. Brett is obviously not short for something.
No, that's it.
Okay.
And I like how it's all two T's on both.
I know.
Lines right up.
It's great. I love it. I was actually thinking that. I was driving in like, oh, we're going to do a whole podcast with Brett. And like, wow, what a cool name that is. So before we get started, we're going to talk about groups today. We are in that message series over in the worship center, but we are in the Next Steps environment, and we are sitting in front of the groups wall for those of you that can see. So part of what we've been doing recently is we have this Next Steps environment that is open immediately after the services. And several of our deacons are in here, as well as some of our staff and other volunteers to help anybody that wants to know anything more about Ocean View. So I know that, Brett, you were here even a couple weeks ago talking, having a conversation with people about groups, and it was just an amazing conversation.
Yes, it was. It was great because everyone sitting in the room decided they wanted to sign up for groups.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't happen.
No, it does not.
That was a great morning.
Yeah.
Being able to share about groups and have everybody respond.
It was great. So Next Steps is available to everybody right after church. You can just pop in, and then at 10:45, after the 9:30 service, we have a conversation, whether it's about just kind of taking your next step at Ocean View, and that we call Starting Point, which is all about salvation, baptism, membership at our church, just general conversation with actually Pastor Terry. And then week 2 is conversations about groups, which we have several of our servant leader deacons, which we'll talk more about in a minute, here leading those conversations, Brett being one of them, about groups. And then we talk about serving, and we talk about outreach and how to get involved just at our church. So
Yes.
Shameless plug for Next Steps there, but that is why we're in this room. So Brett, before we talk about small groups, or neighborhood groups as we like to call them, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you do outside of church?
Okay. So I have a real passion for teaching the Word of God. So I spend a great deal of time teaching both here at church and outside the church, men's groups, mixed groups, wherever I'm asked to join and teach. So I spend a lot of time prepping for that in my retirement. And I also have a real passion for the women and children in our community that are experiencing homelessness. And I've joined a board and serve on the board as the vice president now of Rise and Refuge, which is an organization specifically to provide transitional housing for a long-term 2-year program where they'll have a place to live instead of being homeless, but also have the program wrapped around them that will help them get to a place where they will no longer be homeless and no longer be in our community, but on their own.
Yeah.
And so we're going to provide not only the introduction to Jesus Christ, which is the transformation that changes it all, that really makes it happen. We're also going to provide financial literacy training, parenting training, and career development, because we have an organization, HGTC, that is partnered with us and will provide free career training for these women, so that they don't just have a job, but they have a career when they come out of this.
That's amazing.
It's exciting times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So go check out Rise and Refuge. Go check out their website.
Yes.
And what does Risen stand for?
Risen is, we had to use a word that could be trademarked and in the email and all of that, and you couldn't use the word rising because it was used everywhere.
Oh, interesting.
So it has to do with rising out of their cycle of poverty, and Risen, RYZON, is sounds like rising out, and also think of the horizon, faith beyond the horizon. The horizon that they see looks so far off, and we want to bring them to where they have faith that goes beyond that horizon.
That's awesome. I love that. That name is really unique and different. So you, what did you do? You mentioned being retired, and what did you do pre-retirement, I mean, you sound very busy for being retired because you're also serving here in all different places at Ocean View.
Yes.
You're on this board of this amazing ministry that you guys are launching. And then, so what did you do pre-retirement?
Pre-retirement, yes. I was an IT executive in consulting, IT consulting. So I spent 40 years in IT and decided that if you do something for 40 years, it's probably time to change. So I retired. But it was really working with some large consulting firms where you got to work with different clients all around the world. And I had teams all around the world. And you name the country, I had a team there. And so we would need to keep track of the teams and keep track of those clients that I was overseeing. And so I got to do a lot of world travel, which was great.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
And so you've seen a whole lot of change in 40 years in the IT
Yes.
industry. So
Hard to imagine.
when you started, what did the whole tech industry look like when you started 40 years ago?
When I was in school for IT,
Yeah.
that's when the PC came out.
Oh my gosh.
The green screen IBM
Yep.
little square box. They brought those in boxes, and I was there that day into the lab.
Wow.
It's the first time we've ever seen a PC. And it was at the school because
Yeah.
the schools got them first.
Right.
No one even knew what a PC was.
Oh my goodness.
So that's how long
Yeah.
my career
So
lasted.
you've had the birth of the internet, and now we're in AI, which you had mentioned when we were planning this.
Mm-hmm.
You were consulting for a group that software company that was having
Yes.
to basically retrain everybody because of
AI.
AI. Yeah.
That's right. Yes,
That's so
I
crazy.
spent the month of December just helping out my old company with that transformation effort.
That's crazy. To think of, that's probably an industry that has changed more than anything in 40 years.
Yes.
That's amazing. So back to you're now serving at Ocean View, which you do. You do our Wednesday nights. You're one of our Wednesday night midweek Bible study leaders.
Bible
You
study
mentioned
teachers,
teaching.
yes.
You also teach on Sunday mornings.
I do not. I fill in.
Okay, you fill
I
in,
fill in
okay.
on Sunday mornings. I
But
teach a
then-
men's group on Friday mornings
Okay.
at Bojangles.
Oh,
And
okay.
every week for 6 or 7 years now, we meet.
Aw, I love that. So you are also our deacon chair.
Yes.
And so why don't you tell, because every church is a little different in how deacons operate. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what deacons do at Ocean View?
Okay. Yeah, I agree. They definitely operate differently in different churches. I've been a deacon in other churches where we were in charge of the physical facility. And
So like you would take care of the building?
yes, taking care of the building. That's what the deacons did.
Oh, my goodness.
And so this is very different here in that we are just servant leaders serving wherever we're needed. So we serve in whether it be hospital visits or people that are shut in and at home, visiting them. We also will step in when we have events at church, and we're the volunteers that serve at those events throughout the year. So there's a lot of different things wherever we're needed. We also learn a lot about how the church works, and so that if our pastors were unable to serve at a given time, we'd be able to step in and do much of what they do because we learn throughout the years how all these things work, and we serve in those capacities.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you're the backups.
Yes, the backups. That's exactly right.
So you are extremely passionate about groups
Yes.
and neighborhood groups. So if somebody met you today, do you think they would always assume that you were a community person? Are you somebody that has always been passionate about groups, or is this something that you feel like God grew in you over time?
God grew it in me over time. When I've attended church since I was a very young, a baby, really. Grew up in Lutheran church, and we didn't have small groups or neighborhood groups back then. Yeah. But once I got married 41 years ago to my wife, we've been in small groups ever since then.
Wow.
For the whole 41 years. I can't imagine not being a part of a group now that I've been in those groups for all that time. That's the first thing we look for when we get to a new church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a season where you really needed people to show up for you?
Yes, there are many
Okay.
seasons. When you're raising small children, that is one of the, because there's no book procedure on how to raise kids. It's trial and error.
It is.
So it was wonderful to be in a group with others that were raising children at the same time, and we could share among each other those kind of discussions. I don't know how I would have done it without some of that input. Those were very meaningful times. But there were also those times where one of your children are in a crisis, whether it be surgery or medical situation, and just having somebody to come alongside and pray with you and talk with you was huge.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Was there a point that you can think of where you've gone from, I just attended a group, to, oh man, I believe in this? And like you said, any church I go to, the first thing I do is get in a group. Was there a moment in time that changed your philosophy?
It really happened at the very first small group that we joined. We, by going there, it just became an essential part of my wife and I's lives. We just fell in and felt so comfortable with that group. I was also able to find my mentor there at that group, my spiritual mentor that really helped me through life in a lot of ways. And he was our leader of that small group, and he and I connected very well, even though we had a huge age difference. He was much older than me, and we stayed very close for all those years until he passed away. We have been, he's been my mentor, my go-to person. So that's...
Yeah.
It became an essential group. Yeah.
We talk about that neighborhood groups are people that this is your community. These are your people. These are your people that we do life together with.
Yes.
You and I have talked about how it's easy to go through and, you meet people at church, but it is a little more superficial because you're just saying hi and greeting people. Whereas groups is where it feels like the deep relationships come.
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, you could go to a church for years and shake hands every Sunday morning with acquaintances.
Right.
But they're not true friends that you deeply know their life. In the small group, everyone there becomes a deep friendship for you, and one with a lot of longevity. We still get together with our small group folks from our very first small group, which was 40 years ago. I mean, that's a long time. And whenever we're in Ohio, we will stop by and visit and, go to lunch or go to dinner, and we stay in touch with that group. Same thing happened when we moved to D.C. I just got back from Florida visiting some friends, staying at their place from my Washington, D.C. small group.
That's so
and
cool.
And then the Pennsylvania group, when we moved to Pittsburgh, we have the same thing. We have deep friendships with those folks still. And so it's been true friends and friends of longevity.
Yeah. Was there a time that you can think of or a circumstance where your group really showed up for you in a way that just really stands out?
I would say there have been many times where those prayers that they prayed over me were the most meaningful times. It was, through some difficult times when you have small children that are going through surgery, and having somebody there that was willing to just pray you through it and talk you through it. And those times when you have questions about the faith, you just don't know, what you're believing right now, and you need somebody to talk to. That group is who helped kind of boost the faith and bring it back to where it needed to be.
Yeah, and you had told me even offline just the impact even the groups have had on your marriage.
Yes, our marriage is absolutely stronger because of these groups. That's one of the reasons why we search them out when we get to a new church, because marriage is not an easy thing.
Hard.
Like
it's
we
hard.
talk about, raising children is difficult, but being married, it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. And I just think that without the groups, we wouldn't have that example from others. At the different stages of life. We're in a group now that's in a totally different stage of life than when we had the small children, and we were in groups with other people that had small children.
Yeah.
And all the way through it, and because marriage is different now and as an empty nester. And sometimes people struggle with that.
Yeah.
And we don't struggle because we have others that we can see and look to and understand we understand one another.
Yeah.
So it's quite important.
Yeah, and I that's one of the things I do love about Ocean View's neighborhood groups is that we really try to put people in with their current demographic.
Yes.
So you are doing life and walking alongside people that are in the same stage that you are in. So it can help it, in certain areas of empty nesters, or, with us, it's raising teenagers, or, with our young adults, they're all journeying life as 20 somethings. And, so I love that that's one of the ways we break down our neighborhood groups.
Yes, it's important. Yeah.
So, for somebody that has actually never been to a neighborhood group, why don't you share a little bit about what a normal night looks like for your group?
Sure. So for our group, we have a time of fellowship at the beginning where we're just glad to see each other again. And we spend a little time with some snacks, some dessert, and talking among ourselves. And then we move right into a time of prayer. And so we go around the circle, and everyone shares what their specific prayer needs are. And we're very specific because God, I think, loves a specific prayer because he answers those prayers specifically. And so we go around the group and we pray. We ask for prayer requests, and then we pray together as a group. And then we pray all week for those prayer requests and keep each other lifted up until we meet again the following week. Following that, we have a time where we discuss the sermon from the previous week. So we go through the questions that have been presented by the church, and it gives us a chance to kind of chew on it and toss around a little bit about because the sermon, you're basically just in listen mode. But when we're talking about the sermon, we're in interactive mode, and we can all ask the questions that we wanted to ask, and we can talk about the things that really meant the most to us, or the questions that came up as a result of it. So it's very good. And then we move from that. If there's time, we have time for a Bible study of some sort. It'll be whether it be from the Bible recap that we're doing, or studying a book or a topic. And then we have a time of communion every week. By unanimous request of the group. They wanted to do that, and we do that every single week.
And I that's one of the things I love, again, about our groups, is that each group seems to be so unique. So you guys do communion every week, which is not something that you guys are the only group that does that, but it's your way of coming together and supporting, all the different wishes of your group.
That's right.
Whereas our group, that's not something that we incorporate into our group. The other thing that you guys do, which is unique, is most of our other groups operate within kind of different seasons. Like some of us do spring and fall, just because summer, for those of us with kids are out of school, we're traveling. But your group meets all year round, week in, week out. So that's one of the things that I do love about our neighborhood groups. We all follow the curriculum, but we kind of branch out a little bit in how it looks.
There's freedom to do that in our groups. And by unanimous decision, we meet year round.
And then for us, you guys you open with prayer and we close with prayer. And some of the most special moments for our neighborhood group is we have seen so many of these prayers answered. And just from job stuff to family things and we just really can. It's just such a humbling privilege to be almost a fly on the wall for somebody else's prayers being answered. And I feel like that's one of the amazing parts of these groups. It's just that level of relationship. So let's be honest, when you get a group of people that are making week in, week out meeting together and doing life together, sometimes they get a little awkward or messy. What have you observed, just to relieve everybody? We're all normal. What do you observe sometimes that could be maybe an awkward or a messy part of a group?
Well, there's always messy moments where you're sharing some things that might be a little bit personal. And so that's going to happen. But I also think of the time of laughter. We were studying the interesting book of Song of Solomon. And we all know right away that it's very interesting. And So I kind of threw out there a couple of things where I nodded over and knocked my wife with my elbow, and she was sitting next to me on the love seat and said, "What about that? What do you think of that?" And of course, the whole group, we had them laughing so hard. They were almost falling off the couch
Yeah.
about this. And not that the Word of God is funny, but God has a sense of humor.
does.
And that book brings it out.
Yes, it does.
So I kind of threw in a couple things throughout the rest of the evening, and it ended up being a night of a lot of laughter, which is good.
That's great.
Very healthy.
So I'm going to do a little shout out to our young adults. We have Sam sitting in the room, who is actually our tech director and doing our audio for us today. And Sam is one of our leaders in the young adult neighborhood group. So I'm going to tell you, Sam, skip the month of Song of Solomon. Don't do that one. Tell us some moments where you've just sat back in a small group setting and thought, oh my goodness, this is why we do this.
Yes. Well, one of those moments, I think way back to where one of the gentlemen who was coming, we were able to lead him to the Lord.
Wow.
And he gave his life to Jesus as a result of being in this small group. Spending time in the Word and realizing this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And to be able to sit down with him and pray with him and see that his life will be changed forever. And it is. I mean, I know him, and we still are connected. We live in different states, and that his life has never been the same. So that's a real moment.
Wow, that's awesome.
A special moment.
And you had mentioned another moment, again, offline, about somebody that had come in that was Catholic. Tell us about that one.
Yes. We had a gentleman join our group, and this was the one in Pittsburgh. And he, after coming to the group twice, he came over to me and he said, "So this is what a small group is all about." He was just amazed. He had never experienced that kind of Bible study. He said, "I always wondered what Bible study was like." And he said, "I like it." And he came for many years and is still part of that group in Pittsburgh. And it was great to see the lights come on and to learn that there is a way to do Bible study that he had never experienced before.
Wow,
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes.
So if you have somebody that would come to you and they're just feeling hesitant about joining a group, what would you say to that person?
Well, I would say it's an essential part of doing life. Having somebody to do life with and having a group like that is just, I can't imagine not doing that. I can't imagine my marriage without that. I can't imagine, the different stages of life that we went through, raising children, raising teenagers, being empty nesters, where this wasn't something that we needed to get us through. We just need those people that are willing to pray with you, to shepherd you through what's going on in life.
Yeah, that's great. So another shameless plug. We've already plugged Next Steps, but let's talk a little bit. What are the things that we are in need of as we move forward with neighborhood groups and building more and more groups? And we're looking to, our second campus out in Conway, which will be a whole new set of groups, so which will be amazing. We are always in need of hosts and facilitators. So hosts are the people for neighborhood groups that actually are the ones that open up their homes. And then facilitators are the ones that will take the curriculum that we provide and actually just facilitate a conversation. But for just various reasons, people are a little hesitant to do that.
Yes.
So why don't you encourage some people that could be maybe hesitant about either hosting or facilitating?
Okay, yes. Well, I think back to all the times that I've been a part of a group, a member of a group, and I was approached, would you host or would you facilitate a group? Our group, there were times where we had to split groups. They got so large that the dynamic wasn't there any longer of a group of 12.
Yeah.
When you have a group of 18 or 20,
Right.
it's different dynamic. And so we were split the group, and I was asked to facilitate or lead or host or both. And those times were, at first, it seemed intimidating. Am I really ready to do that? But it was so simple to step into that role from being a member of the group, because these, you're kind of you just kind of go with it. Being hospitable and opening up your home is a great opportunity and a great benefit to be able to see people coming to meet Jesus in your home.
Yeah.
Jesus is there every time we meet. He promised where 2 or 3 are gathered, there he would be. So you're basically inviting Jesus and some other folks into your home. What a beautiful thing that is, and facilitating. When you have something to follow with the right questions and things, it's not as difficult as you would think. And it actually is very energizing, and it flows, and the Lord will bless it. He's blessed me as being a leader. Right now, I'm not a leader of a group, but I have been probably the majority of the 40 years. And it's been a blessing. And so I would say, try the blessing out.
I love that.
Give it a try.
And I do feel like one of the hangups that people have is that, I don't live in this massive house, and, like we said, these are small. Our neighborhood groups are small. We love them to be, 12 or even under, because that's where you're really having those deep relationships. So really all you have to have is a couch and some chairs.
Yes.
And a willing heart, to open your home.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Well, we've facilitated and hosted groups in the past. It was folding chairs.
Yes.
All you really needed was enough chairs for the people that were coming.
Yeah.
And if that was a folding card table chair,
Yep.
that did the trick. And so there were plenty of times where that's what we did. We gathered in a little small little space with folding chairs.
Yep.
Didn't make any difference.
Nope. I remember when I was we were freshly married in our 20s, and we had our very first small neighborhood group, and I mean we were living in a tiny little apartment, and we were just all sitting across the floor. Like we didn't even have enough chairs for people, but it was those were our people, and it was just that week in week out of meeting together that helped us grow as 20 somethings.
Yes.
So you don't even need all the folding chairs. We just sat on the floor.
Now, in my group I'm in now, you need the folding chairs.
Yeah, it's true.
We
were
wouldn't be able to get up off the
we
floor.
were 23 then, so you could get up off the floor easily. So just kind of as we wrap up this talk on a conversation on groups, is there something that you feel like that community groups and neighborhood groups have taught you that really you couldn't learn anywhere else?
But I think many things, but a lot of it was just, how to apply the Bible to everyday life.
Wow.
We spent time in the Word, so much time in the Word that we were starting to realize that, how do we apply that to how we live? And that's really where you want to get as a Christian.
Yeah.
I think that is, to be Christ-like is to understand the Word and how to apply it in your life. What makes my life look different because I'm a Christian?
Yeah.
And we got that because we saw the examples
Yeah.
in the others. Everybody is an example of some strength in their faith, and so you learn from one another. It's great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We
Absolutely.
had such a great conversation on groups and why they're important. So thank you for joining us today and listening to this podcast on neighborhood groups. And if you are interested in a neighborhood group, come see us over in our Next Steps area, Next Steps environment. Have a conversation with me or Brett or Pastor David or just any of our volunteers here. We would love to get you plugged in. We hope to see you next time and are looking forward to seeing you Sunday.